So I was just walking through the living room here and I looked over because I always look over and check my bubbles on my CO2 counter. And I just kind of, give the tank a once over, make sure nothing's on fire, nobody's drowning or anything like that. And I had to kind of do a double take because I realized something. I just trimmed these plants. No lie, what was sold to me as Rotala in the back, I just trimmed it like 2 days ago. And I pulled out probably about a tennis ball sized wad of Java moss. And I trimmed this stuff down here. It was in my last video. It was probably about a week ago, honestly, that I trimmed, or maybe 2 weeks ago, that I trimmed the baby tears. But the Rotala, I just went in there the other night and I just took the tops off and I gave the water sprite a little bit of a trim, and I just did some neatening up. I retrimmed some things I had trimmed the week before, and it's almost to the top of the tank again. It has grown at least 2.5 inches on some of those stems, like 2.5 inches in just a few days. I'm kind of blown away by that. Like, for real, that's, wow, it's kind of crazy. And yeah, this stuff here, the baby tears, has probably doubled in size in about a week since my last video. So I'm pretty jazzed right now. This is pretty exciting. Also, these two rocks right here, they make a little cave, and they've been in there since the first day that I had the tank, and they've always been green. They've always been completely green. And now they're not. So I'm having a drastic reduction in the amount of algae. I've still got some pretty crappy spots, like on the thermometer plastic. It's really green, and my power head, if you can see it under the frog bit, the power head output is really, really green. It's so green. And like the intake, Dima Flocky, I'm sorry, I just had my first cup of coffee. The intake pipes and things like that, those are all still kind of covered in algae, but it's really hard algae. But yeah, most of it is gone. I mean, that rock right there had been covered. It was completely covered in lovely green fuzzy algae. It was pretty. I gotta say, most algae, except for blackbeard algae and like hair algae, they're very pretty. I mean, they're a lovely green little carpet. But yeah, that one is almost clean. So I don't know if it's a combination. Well, I'm pretty sure it's 99% attributable to the CO2 and the bump in fertilizers. But it could also be because my little Siamese algae eaters there, I mean, they've been doing a really amazing job. I mean, they're nibbling on everything. Currently, they are nibbling on the plastic hook that I hang the algae sheets from. That's another thing I got. I got some of these. They're sea veggies. And it's basically just seaweed sheets. And since I have so many vegetable lovers in my tank, I keep a lot of vegetation in my tank. I'll have to do a little thing of what I do to feed them every day. But basically they get a cube of frozen food. Look, they're all swimming around now because they think it's time to eat. They get a cube of frozen food. Usually we get the freshwater multi-pack. It's got like brine shrimp and bloodworms, and it's got like one kind of mixture and one that's kind of brine shrimp and bloodworms mixed. They get 1 cube of that. On one of the vegetable hangers, we get a slice of cucumber or zucchini, depending on which bag I grab first. And on the other little plastic hanger, I put probably about 2 inches on each side, a little sheet of seaweed. And everybody seems to really like that. Oh, and the Odos get a little cube of Soylent Green, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with Rapashi, this is some really excellent stuff. It is a powder that you can't really see because of the light. But yeah, it's a green. Yeah, I've got my bird food in there too. It's a green powder, and you mix it with hot water, and it turns into kind of a food puck. And you chop that up, and I give them a little tiny, gosh, probably about that big. I give them a little tiny square of it every night. They also make a community food. It's Community Plus. It's a little bit more friendly for community fish, but they seem to respond to it pretty well, but obviously not as well as they do the frozen food. So I have kind of a hard time getting them to eat it since I'm not feeding it to them as their primary food source. This is not preferable for them, I guess, because, I mean, why you want to eat broccoli when you have cake? But it is very, very good for them, and I do every once in a while have kind of it's not really a fasting day, but I don't give them any frozen food the night before. And then I put a little cube of this over there on that rock where pretty much everybody can get it, and then they'll eat it. But yeah, I usually keep a container of this and a container of the Soylent Green in the fridge. I make up 1 puck a week. It's a puck about this big, and you use it on a 3-to-1 ratio. It's 3 tablespoons of water for every 1 tablespoon of food. And you get your water nice and hot, and you mix it up really well, and you put it in some sort of a mold. I have just some ramekins, standard cooking kitchen ramekins. And I put it in that. And one thing that was told to me by somebody on the forums at one point, and it was a really, really handy tip: let it sit overnight before you use it. It seems to hold together much better if you let it sit in the fridge overnight before you try to use it. It seems like if you just let it congeal and let it harden and then chop it up and put it directly in your aquarium, it seems to kind of cloud the water, and it's just because it's falling apart so fast. It hasn't had time to really, really set. So yeah, if you do that, I mean, I can't recommend the food highly enough. It's wonderful, wonderful food. You just have to kind of be particular how you do it. But the cories and the odos and the trumpet shrimp, or trumpet snails rather, trumpet shrimp. I want a trumpet shrimp. The trumpet snails really, really, really love the Soylent Green. If you drop it in there before the lights go out, and then come back about 20 minutes later and turn the lights on, it's just covered in snails and cories, and occasionally an odo. The odos don't seem to really like going down there, so. And that is why they have the cucumber / zucchini and the seaweed sheets. Every once in a while I'll look over and I'll see an odo hanging off of the cucumber. And one of our little guys, he's the one that got hit with the mag float last week. And one of our little guys was very, very, very skinny, like scary skinny. And I put a little piece of cucumber around him. He was kind of hanging out on the substrate there after he got whacked, and I put the piece of cucumber next to him, and I came back and checked on him a little while later, and he had completely eaten a hole through the cucumber. So I don't know if he didn't realize that it was food, or if he just didn't realize that it was there. I have no idea. But the flying foxes and the cherry barbs seem to really, really like the seaweed sheets. So I think I'll keep on using those. They're usually gone by the next morning, and they seem to not foul water at all. But Gary is famous for actually eating the cucumbers and the zucchini before anybody else has a chance to get it, because there he is. I don't know if you can see because I have the window open. But there's Gary. He's fatty. He's big fatty pants. But he loves him some zucchini. So I'll look over every once in a while, and there's just this giant friggin' snail hanging off of the piece of cucumber. And he doesn't like the skin, so he eats all of the soft part in the middle, and then there's just this flaccid little skin hanging there a couple hours later. Yeah. I wish he'd just eat the stupid skin and get it over with. But anyway, this turned into way more of a long update than I had planned on. But too long didn't read. been doing the fertilizers for about a week now, and I am stunned at the difference. And honestly, in combination with the CO2, wow. I'm just, it's crazy. These plants, I'm going to go on for another 10 minutes. These plants in the back, the ones that I said last week, I pulled out because I didn't think they were very pretty. Um, they're starting to actually turn green. They had been this kind of sickly, ickly yellow before, and now they're actually turning into a more pleasant green color. And I'm just, wow. um, this that Ludwigia, god damn it, I can never say that name. I trimmed that down to make it bush out more, and it's already, I mean, it's popping out little side shoots and things, and it's, the bottoms are starting to turn red, and the leaves are huge, and I'm just, you know, I'm actually probably gonna have to really give it a haircut soon, because the bottoms are getting really huge, and then they've got these tiny little heads. But yeah, that and the rotala in the back is actually starting to turn red. And these corkscrew valves still look like crap, though. I mean, I don't know what's going on with those. They have... Let me get a different angle. Well, I don't know. It looks like they might have some new growth on there, but for the most part, they look kind of bad. I don't know. I need to find someplace better to put them, but I can't figure out where. Maybe I'll move them closer to the filter intake. I don't know. I'm going to have to give this water sprite a serious haircut again because it's got some brown spots on it. And I've even got a plant here. It looks like it's unanchored, but if you follow it from here, the roots go all the way down. It took its whole mothership and left the planet. I don't know. And then just like left a couple of roots hanging there. But anyway, like I said, this turned out to be way more of a long-winded update than I had planned on. Drink your Ovaltine, buy your Repashy, put your fertilizers in your tank, do whatever you gotta do. But yeah, oh crap, one more thing. As my subscriber count plummets, one more thing. Shit, I forgot. Wait, I remembered when I opened this drawer. Water tests. Yes, water tests. I did a water test last night, and I have 0 ammonia, 0 nitrates, 0 nitrites. What the hell happened? All of my parameters just bottomed out, and my pH is like 6.3. Help. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. What's that mean? Anyway,